I didn't see you all there. How are you doing? Oh, so many towel friends here today. I'm thrilled to see you all. I have a very special guest I can't wait to introduce you to. You're here to hang out with me, right? You know, just another Sunday on Towel News. I'm very honored in so many ways to introduce you to this special guest. You know, we won't belabor it. You're going to get to meet her right away. Yes, she's on the screen. She is the beautiful, the wonderful. I adore her in so many ways. This is Nikki. She's Towel Girlfriend. Hello, Towel Girlfriend. How are you?
How are
You're so beautiful.
you? Hi. Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm so excited for you to meet so many Towel friends.
Me too. You're always so nice about me on your show. I figured I had to come in and just set expectations at a reasonable level before you oversell me too much.
Oh, they think you're beautiful, and I must say, I also think you're beautiful. So I'm just very honored that you're going to share some time with us. I want to set expectations. We said we would talk for a couple hours, and then we're going to have lunch, and maybe we'll watch a movie after.
Listen, a couple of hours at the high end, I think.
Yes, it is.
I've never done this before. I'm a nervous towel boyfriend.
Oh, they said that the Towel friends and the Towel chat mom said they thought you might be, so they're going to be very welcoming, and they adore you, and you have so many friends, and a lot of people who have been excited to meet you, so I'm thrilled.
I know, and I've met so many of them in the chat as well, and through, along the way, so I'm thrilled to be able to properly introduce myself.
Now, I did a poll.
Not that I've...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, dear.
Oh, no, I did a poll,
I was
and
just going to say...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say I don't particularly plan to spend too much time in front of the camera, but for once we can give it a shot and meet the towels.
Well, we said we might think about some travel vlogging, but travel vlogging is sometimes about the scenery. So I feel you on that. But you are beautiful, and I think they adore you already. So I adore you, and I'm glad they share in that adoration. Okay, let's start very broadly, and then I'll ask, because I did a poll, hundreds of people have voted, and there's some questions that they voted on. But let's start just with you. So, you know, people would love to meet you. Before we get into like what brought you into my orbit, you were a lawyer. I
am a lawyer.
You are a lawyer. You are very interesting. You have a very enchanting accent. Can you tell us broadly, just in a couple sentences, like what you did with your life, and you know where you are now?
Yes, absolutely. So the accent is South African. I got my accent and a lot of my personality, I think, from South Africa. And I am an attorney. Before I became an attorney, I was very fortunate to study a couple of other things. So I studied music for a bit. It was great for a while, and then I hated it. Then I was very fortunate to move on to philosophy. And then after a philosophy undergrad, I graduated with a law degree, and I've been in practice.
You practiced as an attorney too. Wow.
Yes.
And we're speaking broadly for operational security reasons. Nikki and I may be in the orbit or area of each other. We may not be. Nikki may be somewhere on the earth right now. She may not be. The same. All right. So we're not withholding anything. We're speaking very broadly. But right now you are a licensed attorney, but you're not practicing because you're going to do some traveling. The first time you've done non-work related traveling in a while, if I understand, and you might be coming to observe the Birchmore and Farwell trial before we get too deep into that, and we might do some traveling in the United States. Are you excited about that?
Yes. I'm so excited. We were saying just before this, I haven't traveled for anything other than work since before COVID, I don't think. And I think for a lot of us, life has just gotten so fast and so crazy since then. And I am so looking forward to taking a couple of slow days. I can't remember when last I had an entire week off of work, and I am thrilled. I'm in the golden months of my life. I've never felt more free.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited. I love my country very much, and I can't wait to show you it. We certainly, I think, are going to see some interesting things. There's some people we want to visit. I don't know if we're going to get to everyone we want to visit. We're definitely going to, I heard, be seeing a Red Sox game. So for those of you who are in the area, George in particular, it's going to be the game when the Cubs play. We're not saying which game. I think George is going to all of them. But there might be an opportunity to go to a Red Sox game for a few of you with us. I'll let you know more about that as September gets closer. I think that would be really fun. But
we need to teach Nikki how to watch baseball into the itinerary somewhere. I've never watched a baseball game in my life.
It's a refined American pastime. Unfortunately, I can't take you. This is the last Jewel Box Stadium, really. There's a few more, like Wrigley Field. I would love to be able to take you to what baseball was when it first started, which was just like building a diamond around a cricket pitch. So it was initially all the baseball mounds had a cricket strip to the home plate, but the last stadium with that was Tiger Stadium, and they knocked that down. So, but yes, Nikki. Yes, I didn't mean to go on a historical tangent. We have some questions. I don't want to take away because people did vote. The biggest question of 70% of the hundreds of people that voted want to know, how did you meet Towel? And I will tell people, Nikki and I have been dating since March 3rd. It was a Monday, 2026 at precisely 12:33 p.m. Eastern. I did look this up. But how did you meet Towel?
I've never felt more inadequate by my own awful memory for dates and anniversaries and stuff. You're going to put me to shame forever, Grant. And now I've forgotten the question. You're going to have to ask it again. How we met?
Yes, the Towel friends and chat bombs would like to know. That's the highest voted question. How did you meet Towel?
You don't feel like muttering the answer. It's a classic 21st century love story of meeting on Twitter.
That's right. I reposted you.
Most classically. As I've been an attorney for a number of years, and just with the nature of the job and whatever else, I haven't had any social media in at least 10 years. I don't have a Facebook and Instagram, nothing. And then after Karen Read trial 2, I'd watched both trials and I had no answers 2 trials later. And from what had happened in court, I was like, at least some of the sources happening on Twitter. Like I'd heard about Aiden, and I figured that he was probably a good place to start, at least. So I downloaded Twitter.
Well, hold on. Before we get to let's ask the burning question we'll go one at a time. First, do you think Karen Read was framed?
Oh, definitely.
And then second, do you think Turtle Boy is being unjustly persecuted?
Definitely.
Excellent. Continue with your story.
Yes, after the first trial, I was entirely there was no room left in my mind that Karen could have been the person who killed him. So I came to Twitter looking for answers, and it was just as the trial 1 sidebars had been released, and Grant had there was some formatting thing.
After trial 1, you understood, you knew that it wasn't Karen, but you didn't have answers. Just because I just want to understand. So you knew it wasn't Karen, but you didn't really know like what happened. So you went looking for answers. Do I have that right? Got it.
Absolutely. I'd been through, both of the trials, but also all of the pre-trial docs for both matters. So as I explained to Grant, I'm not much of a true crime person, but when there are notable court cases going on in whatever jurisdiction around the world, I like to just keep an eye on what's going on. It's frankly almost a professional responsibility to just keep abreast of what's going on. And that's how I came into Karen Read. And I watched 2 trials and read thousands of pages of documents, and I didn't have a cooking clue what happened. Mm-hmm. For
So
whatever
this was
reason, I thought that
about
Twitter was going to be the answer.
so this was about sometime after trial, even after trial 2. So you didn't find me till
Yeah, this was
even
after trial too.
wow. So you would have found me sometime around the fall of 2025, like before we even talked. You may have seen some of
That
my
sounds
coverage.
right. Yeah, I started following you around then, and I think we didn't. I didn't really know much about you, to be honest. I'd really enjoyed your reporting, but I hadn't. Your name hadn't come up in court in either of the trials, and then being uninitiated to the online space.
Well, that's right, because
I
we didn't
saw.
talk. We didn't talk at first, if I recall. I think I retweeted you like way later, maybe like January, but that was only because I think you had like
That was
replied to
November.
something. Oh, really? November?
That was November. No, you retweeted me in November, and I tried to sneak in your DMs, and you weren't immediately. You weren't immediately convinced, so it took a couple of conversations.
Hmm.
Oh my
you?
goodness. Does
I
anyone
think
in the chat think that you've ever met and tried to start a relationship with someone who's particularly guarded? I raise you my towel.
Hmm.
It was a challenge of epic proportions. I've never the application process for any job that I've ever had was far less strenuous than getting to know.
It's true. It's true. I
It
did.
was an ordeal. I was interrogated more than once.
In a loving way. I'd be like, listen, we can do this, but you can't have any intel. That's the price. That's the price of the connection. You can have no intel. She'd be like, okay.
Oh my goodness. Grant, I didn't even ask you for any. What do you mean? No, I'm just telling you I can't give it to you. No, but I didn't ask you for any. It was a refrain. It was great fun. we made it through stronger. I think
we did, and I guess that's a natural segue. So obviously I retweeted you, but you started to talk to me more, and then before we even started dating, I was covering the war, which was something you took very seriously, just on a personal level. And we started dating while I was covering the war. So I guess, what is it like, I suppose people might want to know, to start dating and date someone who is not only covering news cycles, but stuff as a reporter that he can't always talk about, or what is it like when the war's going on and you're hanging out with your boyfriend, and then there's a bomb falling, he's got to go. Can you tell them about that? I can't really know what that's like.
I can. I'm going to break that down into two subparts. So, dating someone who withholds a lot of information from me very intentionally, the stuff that you can't talk about. It's obviously a challenge. It's somewhat mitigated by, I'm very minimally employed at the moment, but usually I've had a job where I can't speak about a lot of what's going on. So I've lived the inverse experience from that. I must tell you that Grant takes this very much more seriously than I did as an attorney, just in terms of I would discuss cases without sharing names. That was within my code of ethics. I could, speak in generalities, and by way of an example and a sufficiently opaque metaphor, tell the story.
They teach us use hypotheticals here, but similar concept. But,
similar
yes.
thing. But with you, it is such specific pieces of information that you couldn't picked it up from anywhere else. So you have to be so careful about what you get out and what you don't.
And
I have a lot of admiration for how you navigate that. I mean, I'm in the easy spot. I'm just strapped in for the ride. I think you are more conflicted about. You have some guilt, I think, about withholding stuff. I don't know. It feels like a bit of a conflict.
Well, I think I feel a very strong professional duty. And then there, obviously, as you've seen, stories will come out in the public, and you can attest, you will learn about it when the public learns about it. And sometimes you'll be like, well, is that, what you weren't telling me? And I won't even tell you that. And it's to protect the way
I always assume this. I must tell you that whenever I've asked you that question and you haven't answered, I have assumed that I'm right.
Oh yeah, I got to be careful
You
with
don't
it.
want to tell me if I shouldn't.
But in any event, so then the second part of the question is, what is it like? I suppose,
Yes.
like during the war, we might be like watching a movie or doing something, and then an alert has gone off. So what is that like? Was it different than maybe previous like day-to-day life you had lived? Or was it a change?
Well, I want to just reject the premise that this is exclusive to the war. This is something that you very much carry through your life, no matter what you're covering. If something is urgent, you do the damn thing immediately. You're going to write it up, you're going to get on stream, and you're going to react. It's an interesting experience for me. It's definitely a lot of fun, keeps me on my toes. Truthfully, so most often when we are interrupted is halfway through a movie or halfway through a series, and Grant's like, I don't know, missile and herbal alerts, pause the movie. The good news is that I'm normally ready to fall asleep by halfway through a movie, so as long as we time it right, we can. No, it's interesting, and your sleep pattern is completely subject to the news cycle. You live, eat, breathe, eat if someone reminds you, hopefully. But what's going on? You have such a dedication and commitment to your craft. You do, to the exclusion of a lot of other things. You prioritize delivering good information to the people who are looking for it, and it's admirable. It's not like ideal girlfriend conditions, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. I wouldn't choose a 24/7 job for my partner, but this one's all right.
I think we have worked around it. I mean, I think sometimes we'll be like, okay, so on Saturday, we'll have time to hang out, and then I'll always I found that managing expectations is important. So I'll be like, but with the caveat that if there's some kind of chaos or emergency, I might have to go. And you're very understanding, and I'm always grateful.
That's one of my favorite. Almost all of our dates are, and it's even more fun if we aren't in the same time zone, because now our window of time is shrinking for when we can hang out.
Depending on where she is in the world at any given moment, we're either close in proximity, physically or not, or close time zone wise or not. So yeah, we do a lot of planning with time zones. Not as much recently,
and it's
though.
Always subject to this week Friday we can wrangle out these 90 minutes that we can. Oh, but it is Friday, Nick, so there might be Karen Reid FOIA docs, and I'm not really sure. And depending what it is, I might have to go live, and I'm sorry. I'd love to watch a whole movie with you. It's adorable. You're very cute.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, that's right. It's every other Friday, or sometimes the inverse will happen. I'll be like, oh, yeah, I have to set aside Friday. There's going to be FOIA docs, but I'll have gotten it wrong, and there are no FOIA docs, and then we get to hang out. I'm all happy. So let's see. Anne would like to know if you are MI6.
Certainly not. No, I'm not even British.
She just has a great accent. Okay, what was the other question? So I asked a little bit about what the workflow is like. We'll get back to that in a second. Do you like protecting goats and other animals?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Sometimes it's not even so much a question of like as a question of just I always have an animal and I never seek one. I've most recently allocated a cat named Kyle, who's just adorable. But I always spent a lot of time trying to work for animal welfare. When I was in school, I used to work at the SPCA for community service hours.
It just pauses, and then hopefully we'll be back up. Yeah, we're back up now. Okay, hello everyone. So we had one of we either one or both of us, or either or, are on special connections that, although the internet is fine, they're based on satellites going around in the Earth. So, we're dependent on the satellites, all right? Well, hashtag satellites. So you were telling us that you worked for the SPCA. Please continue. You do sound like you love animals.
Are we good?
Ah, yes, I'm sorry. You were telling us you worked for the SPCA and you love animals.
Oh, worked for is a very strong term. I just used to go and help out on weekends and volunteer time and stuff. It was mostly an excuse to go play with the puppies and the kittens. But no, always, through all of my life, if I haven't owned animals, I've fostered. I think my last 2 puppies, it was the 15th and 16th dogs that I fostered.
And what is the...
and I just haven't been...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just haven't been... My life has been a little bit too much in flux to be guarding any little animals recently, but I will be soon.
No, not recently, but in general, intentionally or otherwise, what is the most animals you have ever had at one time? And yes, I am going to make you tell this story.
I feel called out. This is very intentional, Grant. Yes. So at one of the points in my life, I was very young at this stage. I was studying something. I was maybe 20. I was maybe 19 or 20. I was a baby. And my roommates and I decided that we were going to get hamsters, which was great. We were students. We couldn't afford much. Hamsters were pretty cheap. They seemed like fun. Truly, it was the move of the moment, and we loved them. We loved them very much. We got our 2 little girl hamsters. They shared a cage. They had the toys. We took them out. They got quite tame. Everything was great. And then one day my hamster got pregnant, and it was a crisis, really. That first litter, he had 7 babies all at once. And from that first litter, the second those things became of age, it was just a breeding fest. Generations mattered not, family lines mattered not. I had hamsters exploding. I eventually managed to sell a few of the small ones, but that was also hard work. I had to find a seller, package a hamster, take it to a person. I was trying to get a degree. So I had, at the height of the hamsters, there were 24, 27, somewhere around there. And I eventually started separating by gender, and I loved them all until the last one died.
No, hamster,
really upsetting to me.
It is. For people who know hamsters, they do not have a long lifespan. They are good pets. I actually had Butterscotch growing up. His death was, we buried him next to the garage. I miss him terribly. But for those of you who do raise hamsters, it's a tragically short lifespan. That said, I am very glad that they were cared and loved for. If I could conclude this with a nice circle here, you now have channeled this into a game that you play, and you like to raise those animals.
Not to expose for the internet.
No, I think this is, so I like to play just to relax, once in a while. You like to play this wonderful game where you raise animals in a zoo. And listen, this is a channel where everyone of every persuasion loves animals, so your adoration for them to me is well situated. I adore it myself.
And listen, no one's a fan of Grant Smith Ellis because they like a perfectly conventional human being who's straight up and down.
Listen.
Not
if there is something unconventional about loving animals and then channeling your passion for it into raising them digitally, then I don't want to be right.
They're not even your digital animals, but I really appreciate it.
They would like to know what game do you like? So a lot of folks may not even know there are games where you can actually sort of engage and raise animals. What game is it that you like the most where you can raise them?
So something that Grant and I have in common that I didn't learn about until after we started dating, I don't think, is that we both really like old video games. And we really like to work very hard to make modern machines run them really well. So my animal specific game at the moment is Zoo Tycoon 2, and it's been excellent. It's been great fun. It's been a good few months of nothing but Zoo Tycoon 2. And I have dinosaurs now, so
And
you can call me
giant
the mother of dragons.
and giant pandas and red pandas. We learn all about the different types of animals. She tells me about them. I enjoy it very much.
Yeah. Honey badger, particularly Bob.
Yes, the Wisconsin. We're gonna bring Nikki to Wisconsin so she can see the honey badgers. All right, so this is adorable, but I also want to ask you a few substantive questions. One of the things, obviously, that you're...
And you think I can answer them?
Perhaps. One of the things that you have been following, obviously, is the various criminal cases in Massachusetts and civil cases that I cover, some of which I'm sure you probably would have seen as in-depth, some of which I'm sure you've learned more about just from being in my orbit. Based on...
A lot about.
Yes, and actually, before we even get there, let's talk about our plans. Towel News, I am going to be covering the Sandra Birchmore and Matthew Farwell trial. You're going to be coming and observing and sort of just doing your thing and watching. And it's going to be, I think, a very high-profile, interesting case, but it's also a tragic case in a lot of ways. I think a lot of us close to it are so close to it that we think, perhaps rightfully, that it's like the most important issue in the entire world. Is it probably in the context of everything going on, the war, geopolitics? Maybe not. But those of us who follow it closely think it's very, very important. So from an international perspective, I'm not even sure where to start with it. So let's just start with our plan. We're going to do some traveling. We're going to cover this case. I don't even know how to ask about this. Is it really as out of the norm as we're taking it, those of us who live here? Because I've been here for 30-something years. What you've seen with the Birchmore case, the Farwell case, the Karen Reed case, the Turtle Boy case, is it so out of the norm that even if you're reading a headline in, the middle of Eastern Europe, and you see this, you're going to say, wow, like that's out of the norm? Maybe you can help us understand that perspective.
Out of the norm is interesting in that context because this is an incredible story, an incredibly important story, but one that is not that unique. Unfortunately, people who exploit systems to exploit people do that by similar means wherever they go. And as awful as fundamentally systemically rotten as Massachusetts is in particular, it's not unique. It's awful, but it's not unusual.
So what drew, when you saw these trials, was it the televised coverage? Because you were international at the time. You were working. Obviously, it's your field, but what caught your eye about this initially? Was it Karen? Was it there's something more here?
Emily D. Baker. Emily D. Baker's stream was the first time I ever got exposed to it pre-trial one. Mm-hmm. I actually forget what she was talking about in the stream, but I remember seeing the picture of John's arm, mm-hmm. and I just thought, but a dog bit that arm though. That's not a car bite. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? And why is no one taking it seriously that cars don't bite arms like that? And free Chloe. Chloe's a good girl. This is not her fault.
Thank you.
This has nothing to do with Chloe.
She was wearing a wire. I don't mean to make light of it, but she is a federal doggy informant dog. But so it was Emily D. Baker's coverage, and you said, all right, this looks like the explanation the state's putting forward is odd. And from there it was, now we're 3 years later, and you're still putting pieces together.
So what was actually, I think that what has made this so captivating has actually been Karen and her team, because they were really unabashed and unashamed from early on about saying, I'm being framed. This is a conspiracy, and there's a cover-up. I'm being framed. And I was aware of that before the first trial. And I kind of, I've heard Ian Runkle saying that he went into it expecting to have a laugh at Karen's lawyer, essentially expecting them to, no reasonable defendant buys to prove a case like that. But the fact that they were saying it so loudly and unashamedly was interesting. People don't, I mean, even defendants with really good cases, defendants who are framed, don't kick up a fuss about it in that way. They save it for trial. They're trying to keep the element of surprise on their side, their cards close to their vest.
And so at the time, you're probably talking, let's say, spring, summer, fall 2023, winter 2024, because the original first trial was going to be, I want to say, January 2024, December 2023. It actually got pushed back a few months. So the pretrial process was starting, like, in earnest about May 2023, along with the federal grand jury, etc. Coming into it at that point. And then now we're in 2026. I want to ask you about some of the more recent developments in these cases and kind of your perspective. One of the first big developments that happened over recent months was in particular in the past 2 weeks, was the revelation that the FBI in the Sandra Birchmore and Matthew Farwell case personally took pictures, not got to review a picture, but took pictures of Sandra Birchmore's hyoid bone. Now, obviously, the state police unit that investigated Karen Read, that's investigating and did investigate Aidan Turboy Carney, etc., that unit is the very same unit that covered up Sandra Birchmore's murder at the hands, allegedly, of the federal government by Matthew Farwell on February 1st, 2021. And Matthew Farwell was a former Stoughton cop who met in a parking lot in February-March 2021 with John Fanning, Brian Tully's first in command at that Norfolk District Attorney's Office, Michael Morrissey's Norfolk District Attorney's Office State Police Detectives Unit. And Fanning says to Farwell, listen, there's no suspects, even though there was a lot of evidence Farwell was at the scene of the crime at the time Sandra died and that he was abusing her since she was a child, trafficking her, etc. There's no suspects, this is not a crime, and, quote, this investigation is going to, something like, cause problems for us, or we don't need this investigation right now. That's what John Fanning, the investigator, is saying to Farwell, the primary suspect, and Fanning then clears Farwell in 2021. We have just found out.
I missed that.
Yes.
I missed that comment.
Oh, yes. You missed the statement from Fanning to Farwell. Yeah, so that's in the...
Yeah.
It's actually in the federal government's trial brief, which doesn't name Fanning, but identifies him as a lead investigator, a sergeant at the state police, who used to work as a cop in Stoughton, which is Fanning. Fanning wrote the report exonerating Farwell. And Fanning also, according to the federal government and Farwell's defense attorneys, I have the pleading, in Farwell's defense attorney's argument, one of their motions, they say that Fanning met with Farwell in a school parking lot and said to Farwell, there's no suspects, this is not a criminal investigation, and this investigation, we don't need this investigation right now. Okay, so that's wild enough as it is. But then the key insight, Sandra Birchmore, God rest her soul, and her unborn 8 to 10 week old baby boy, she was cremated in around March of 2021. How did the FBI get a picture of her hyoid bone? As far as anyone knew, the FBI did not get involved in this case until August of 2023, when the grand jury started investigating Farwell. Is it possible that because Donna McNamara opened up a Stoughton Police Department internal affairs investigation on February 5th, 2021, that the FBI was called in right away and did a secret autopsy with the cooperation of the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, and then pulled back and just let Fanning cover up the crime and watched how he did it? What do you think of that? Is that what that could mean? The hyoid bone picture?
I mean, certainly it could be. I think it's, given the way in which the FBI seems to operate, I don't think that that's unusual. I don't think it's unlikely either. You know, if that is the case, then what we know for sure is that since at least 2021, and I'm not convinced that it's then. I think that this might be from Divine, where the feds started investigating the MSP. But from at least then, the feds have had men on the inside watching the workings of that exact Norfolk District Attorney's Office, those same fixers, our friends Proctor and Buchanan and Fanning and Tully. They watched them, assuming that they joined in 2021. They were there with men on the inside the night that John O'Keefe was murdered.
Well, before we get, I think there is a connection there, but before you even get to, and God rest his soul, Boston police officer John O'Keefe and the night of January 28th to 29th, 2022, let's talk a little bit about who those men and women on the inside could be, because if this is right, and Dr. Smok, S-M-O-K, and the FBI did a parallel autopsy of Sandra Birchmore in February or March of 2021, then the logical conclusion is that the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner was cooperating from the beginning. And when she went along with Fanning and the Canton Police telling her to declare Sandra's death the result of self-harm within 24 hours of Sandra's death, it wasn't because she was playing dirty, it was because she was read in by the federal government. But then, what about Nick Garino? Nick Garino was the trooper who ignored 30,000 messages between Sandra and Matthew Farwell from Sandra's phone extraction through her computer, even though Sandra's family delivered that evidence to the state police. So Nick Garino was the tech expert working under Fanning and Tully. Nick Garino was the same man who missed, for whatever reason, Jen McCabe's WallDB file when doing the extraction initially in 2022, before Karen's team returned to ask for the raw data, and then they found that missing. It wasn't the 227 timestamp that was the big scandal. It was that Garino never extracted the WallDB file. Well, now Garino is a cooperating federal witness, along with Jessica Hyde, who was the most vociferous and ardent defender of Jen McCabe's 227, 623, 24 Google search. And Jen McCabe was close friends with Brian Tully at the time. They spoke on the phone. And furthermore, the way that Jessica Hyde found Brian Tully, it was a guy named Ed Keefe who used to work under John Fanning and Tully at the Norfolk DA State Police Unit before going to like some fusion center to work with the feds. Interesting. All right, so that was a lot of statements. Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a question there, but like, what does it feel like, I guess, almost like Great Expectations or James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake, when you know the case really well and then more and more comes out and then you see that evidence in light of what you previously learned, and especially what do you think of these two cases potentially being intertwined, and what do you think of John O'Keefe potentially being on a task force that investigated sex trafficking in Norfolk County before his death, secretly?
So, from the less human side of it, the part of us that wants entertainment, I guess, or theater.
Oh, I'm back. So all we heard was you said from the part of us that sometimes wants to gawk or look at the entertainment value maybe we miss, and then we lost you.
I might have lost that thought forever. I'm so sorry.
But you were kind
Constant.
you were kind of thinking. I think that what I was driving at was, do you see, knowing all this is a very complex story.
Yes.
You almost
So,
had to.
I
go ahead,
remember.
Go ahead.
So, what you'd asked me was what it's like to have new evidence coming out in a case that we've known a lot about for a long time and filtering that. I kind of see it the other way around. You spoke about taking the new evidence and fitting it into I kind of take the new evidence and I kind of reimagine the possibilities around it. I think, okay, well, now I have a new fixed point, and what about my conjecture and speculation and what I think about, what about that is pliable, and what about it do I know? So for me, it's almost more fun to reshape what I've already got than try and
So
engineer it the other way.
In that context, Karen, and we've talked about this before, Karen made a statement to Rotten Mango that between February 2nd, 2022, her initial arraignment, and I'd say June of 2022 when she was indicted, she thought that Brian Tully's unit and John Fanning was going to come do her like Sandra Birchmore, in her words. Do you think is Karen the Holy Grail, as I've postulated? Do you think she knew more and knows more, and her defense wasn't as robust as it could have been for investigatory purposes regarding what the feds are now clearly looking into with Farwell?
I hope that for her sake she is not an irreplaceable Holy Grail. I would hate for her to be a piece that they need to put everything together. I think that's not how you've used that term before. So that's
don't you think that would keep her safe? I mean, I see what you mean. It would put a lot of stress on her and it would be the most difficult thing in the world to know that the federal government has evidence that you were framed, but be told by that same federal government, listen, we want to investigate these guys, so you can't go out there raising a defense of, hey, here's all this evidence. We need you to just say enough to get acquitted. That would be tormenting, but it's also a noble act of service.
What a living nightmare. It's one of those things that you would never wish on your worst enemy, but you are so grateful that Karen had the opportunity to do what she has. It's just an enviable heroism that she's been forced into, I guess.
Well, and it does speak to... Oh, hold on. We're just going to wait for it to rebuffer here. Let's go now. Where is it? Hold on 1 second. Oh, there it is. We're back. Sorry about that, folks. That's actually not the internet. That is literally... Oh, it's being all annoying. That's literally the frame. So we're just going to wait. I can see it on the back end when it works and when it doesn't. So, you have such an interesting perspective on all this. And some of this might be going through. Some of it's not. I'm just going to wait for it to kind of stabilize. It's just the way the frames go up to the software. So... just give me 1 second while it does its thing. Actually, it might be YouTube being a little bit off here, so give me seeing this. So we are still live, but just so you know, the way that I do broadcasting is through my own custom client, so I don't use a StreamYard. My love, I think you know this. I actually do it myself. So I got all the tech stuff, like even if the frames are going up, if YouTube isn't getting them, I have to manually like troubleshoot, which I love. I can't wait. I know you have seen a lot like of just the back end, but I love teaching. So I don't get to talk a lot about like my streaming client, but with Nikki I do, and it just makes me happy. But with that said, we're stable.
It's really amazing. It's custom built from scratch.
Pretty much. And that's why I sometimes say we have turbulence flying AirTower. Okay, so people heard, I think, that question. We have a lot of friends from Australia, from around the world who are just popping in, saying hello. They're really enjoying their opportunity. Do we have someone trolling? Oh yeah, we did. Damn right we did. I think this is probably one of the people who are connected to the state police or the private intelligence operation that's a little mad. That,
One of my
hashtag free,
friends.
yeah, but hashtag free towel. They're a little mad.
Hashtag free towel.
Yeah, I don't think they ever thought
Free the
that towel.
towel.
I don't think they ever thought towel would be moving in this direction. Okay, so let me ask you
So
about.
what about you scream trollable? Like,
So
I
that-
wouldn't, I don't think I would try my luck trying to troll you. I wouldn't win. And I back
Hmm.
myself as a troll.
No, I'm not trolling. They're trolling. I am Boston. But let me ask you a little bit more about sort of what we've learned, in particular about Garino cooperating. So a lot of people don't know about the way in which Jen McCabe's extraction timeline played out. And remember, Jen McCabe's one of the witnesses in the Karen Reed trial. What actually happened was she gives her phone over to the state police, and they get the phone and they do a forensic extraction with Celebrate at the time. There are multiple tools you can use to do it, but that's one of them. Others are like Axiom. There's more than one way to skin a cat. But the point is, they use Celebrate, and the story is that at the time, the version they're running just doesn't extract WALDB files. So then they give the extraction to Karen without telling her there's no WALDB file. The only place that 2:27 a.m. search, whatever you want to call it, anomaly search, whatever you want to say, shows up is that WALDB file. Oh, is that a cat? He's a cat. And
Cat, but
so if you think about it, when Karen's team gets the original extraction, how do you know what you don't know? Like, you know that there's no WALDB file if you're really smart, but how do you know there's a 2:27 a.m. search in there?
oh, you've really got to hope someone sets you up with a Richard Green.
Or you have to hope that somebody has access to,
Has already
all
figured
the
that out
data.
and can tell you it.
kind of like in the
Oh.
Miles King case, where Michael Proctor got that very lucky dying declaration when Marquise Simmons said, "Oh, it was Mizzy Cash," and only the police officer heard it. It's almost like Michael Proctor had access to the digital evidence from the spying software, and he knew it was Miles King. He just needed a way to get the warrant.
Yeah, it's a lot like that, not even just almost like it. It's
Um,
interesting. I think that Nick Garino is such a good get for the
Thanks.
Orwell prosecution, because for me he has two things going for him. The first is that he definitely knows something about something.
well, he almost
Because
died,
he
didn't he?
definitely
He almost
Well-
he got hit by a car.
in Farwell and Reed, I'm not going to go into the specifics, but he dealt with the operative important extractions, and there were irregularities with the way in which he dealt with those extractions. So in both cases he knows something, and it looks, at least in Reed, like he gave false evidence. I don't know if there's any, some kind of immunity going on there. But the reason that he's a good get is that he knows something. And after that car accident that you brought up,
Which was after
Which-
Karen's first trial, I think.
after Karen's first trial, before the second, not
Yeah.
long before the second, if memory serves.
Yeah.
I also won't rehash the. Garino was a loose cannon for the district attorney's office, and they identified their own weak link, and I think needed to address that. And I think that the way that they did that played the player that they were worried about, served them right up to the Farwell prosecution.
Yeah, and what it seems to be
And
here is that it seems to be that Garino was not initially cooperating. That's what makes him so dangerous. He seems to be someone who the feds got to come around, and he's really damning for exactly the reasons you laid out. But if you think about Jessica Hyde, if you think about the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, These were folks who were around. I mean, Jessica Hyde was around from as early as the spring of 2023. It's very possible they had people spying on these guys and trying to set them up like informants do.
I think that we're going to have a lot of fun when we get more details about what exactly Hyde did in the Farwell investigation.
Yep, and the reason why Hyde...
That's going to be a big thing.
Yep, obviously it's a very serious situation in both cases, but the reason why Hyde is such a fascinating element is if this is correct, if all of this lines up, then that means Jessica Hyde was actually like working like a wrestler, like a pro wrestler. She was playing a character and like playing up her theory, and also trying to play a character on TV who was, you know, during the trials, who was like unassuming. Like you were supposed to dislike her but think she was a joke, so you wouldn't ask too many questions. That's what I got from her testimony.
The thing with making yourself the subject of ridicule is that you are laughed off as a power player, as someone with any influence. If you, or like, you know, once you have someone spawn, they are almost like unable to consider that you might, you might one up them.
Or if you get someone's trust. Like, if you think about Jessica Hyde's, Tully's initial email to Jessica Hyde, the way it worked was, Tully got referred to her by Ed Keefe. Tully reaches out to her. She reaches out back right away, and then he ignores her. She follows up again like 24 hours later. Then he responds with this long email where he never mentions Jen McCabe's name, but he's like, hey, we got this witness, and, you know, the defense says they, like, after a year, like, asked for the raw data of her cell phone, and it turns out we never did the WallDB file extraction. And, by the way, there's this 2:27 a.m. timestamp, but it's actually from 6:23 a.m., and et cetera, et cetera. Jessica Hyde's first response...
That is exactly how that email reads. He's just gushing information and panic.
Yep, and Jessica Hyde responds, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing indeed when it comes to like tech data. Jessica Hyde, because Tully was overconfident, Jessica Hyde responds and says, oh, I just think it's a time zone issue. I can totally explain that. She doesn't ask why the WallDB file wasn't included, which, like most experts would. She doesn't ask, like, can I talk to your tech guy? Like, let me dive into this. She doesn't ask. She says, here's a 25% unadvertised law enforcement discount. She hooks him. Tully gets the email and then immediately forwards it to Morrissey and says, hey, Ed Keefe referred her. Morrissey says, hire her right away. Great. Okay, that was like May 3rd through May 5th, 6th, 7th of 2023. It was for the purposes of a pre-trial hearing on May like 24th, 2023, where Alan Jackson and David Yannetti were going to reveal this big information about the Google search, the withheld WallDB file, and even more. This was the big hearing. Like, all right, so what's weird, though, is the follow-up that Hyde sends unprompted to Tully, not to Adam Lally, but to Tully, on like May 23rd at like 10:50 p.m. Eastern, being like, hey, Brian, Alan Jackson just called me and he left a voicemail, or he got me on the phone. I said I was going into a conference and he wanted me to talk to him, and that's really weird, so I just told him to call me back. Tully responds and is like, yeah, they're really aggressive. She follows up the next day or like 2 days later and sends Tully a message that's like, Brian, Alan Jackson just called me again. Acted response back to Proctor and Tully being like, whatever. And then Tully follows up at 11:54 a.m. a few hours later with Hyde and says, oh no, that's not the rule. I spoke to the ADA, Mr. Lally, and he said, just like with all witnesses, you're free to talk to whoever you want. You don't have to, though.
But you definitely don't have to.
It was almost like Hyde was trying to get Tully to do exactly what they thought Tully was doing with Jen McCabe and other witnesses. Call Hyde and be like, hey, yeah, like, you're totally right. Like, that's so shady. Like, don't comply with that. Or if you're going to talk to him, like, yeah, we're withholding this, this, and this. But he didn't take the bait. Whether Lally knew it was a bump or Lally just thought Jessica Hyde didn't know what the hell she was talking about is unclear because his response is redacted. What do you think about all that? That was a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it is some of my favorite pieces of evidence because, you know, a lot of the stuff no single document is so strange, so unexpected that it would by itself raise an alarm bell. It's the patterns of things in this case that have started to guide the way, I guess, through the train of thought. Come on.
No, it's okay. Oh, you've been doing so good. You are
my brain's
natural.
tired.
This is her first time. This is legitimately her first time ever doing a live stream. I'm not kidding. And she is incredible. I think you're just wonderful. It's not easy. You're doing so well. But we were talking about in the context of Jessica Hyde reaching out to Tully, you were saying it's the pattern.
Yes.
And it almost looks like Alan Jackson and Jessica Hyde were working with the same people. This was right before the grand jury started, the federal grand jury. And the pattern, to me here, is pretty clear, especially when we get to Hank Brennan. And I know that's a topic that you want to talk about, so let's talk about it. So Hank Brennan, as we just found out on this stream the other day, represented a criminal defendant in Stoughton in the fall of 2022. That criminal defendant was arrested and originally arraigned on October 2nd or 3rd for hitting a man on a moped and trying to cover up the crime. Matthew Farwell investigated that crime while sleeping with Sandra Birchmore, illegally on duty, and then the defendant was bound over by a grand jury in Stoughton in December of 2020. Her lawyer, Hank Brennan. Now, Hank Brennan, some folks might not know, although most will know, was Whitey Bulger's lawyer. If you know anything about Black Mass, Whitey Bulger was basically taken out by the state police. Whitey Bulger's work with the FBI was mostly about taking out the Angiulos, the Patriarchas, the Italian mobsmen in Boston, who had a very close relationship with the state police. The state police had a motive more so, not the entire organization, but the people working for the Angiulos had the biggest motive to take out Whitey, because Whitey exposed the people that were paying them no more money. So, in turn, Hank Brennan, I felt all along, was a double agent. I didn't feel all along. I figured this out maybe like 6 to 8 months ago, but all along I had this feeling that something wasn't right, because he was doing things a prosecutor wouldn't do. So the thought that Jessica Hyde, Hank Brennan, Nick Garino, Karen, David Yannetti, Alan Jackson all knew about this certainly makes Hank letting Paula Prado and the foreman of the second trial on the jury make a lot more sense. Adam Lally was the only thing that the feds couldn't control during the first trial, in my opinion, and that's why when they did the second trial, Hank wasn't a gift to the Commonwealth.
I don't think they had any control over the court either.
No, I don't. I think Judge Cannone might have gotten wise to the fact that something was up, because think about it. What prosecutor in their right mind would let not just Paula Prado, but the foreman on the jury? You need to do 5 seconds worth of research for their public profiles, and you know, like they're anti-cop, like they're going to be out to get you as the prosecution. Hank Brennan, I believe, and they were both repped by Reagan Communications, where David Traub, Michael Morrissey's former spokesman, went to work in 2024, right before Karen's second trial, December 2024. It's pretty obvious to me what happened. The first trial was the feds trying something. They had jurors. I truly believe they gave Karen some witnesses, Jessica Hyde, Arca, like more than you realize, but they couldn't get the verdict they wanted. And this is a novel thing.
Well, because Lally also had my opinion, speculation and conjecture. I have no, plausible grounds to believe this, except that I think it.
The foreman. Lally knew the foreman of the first trial, who was a former cop. And that would be, the feds would never have expected that, but that's good.
What if that's a called-out juror?
Yeah, good lawyering is actually knowing the judges, the clerks, apparently during trials, the lawyer, like the jurors, and being able to like pull fast ones. That's my opinion. And that's why I think, in some regard, the second trial, they needed a more refined approach. Carrie Lama inadvertently ended up being the weak link. You never know
I can't
that you're
believe I know that one's name.
you never know that you're the person that brings in the informant. That's how they get you. So Carrie Lama thought it was just her neighbor and friend Hank Brennan coming in to find to help them when no one else would prosecute the case. Well, a desperate group of people is a weak group of people, and Hank Brennan's the perfect person to be the inside man and manage everything. It explains why Jessica Hyde apologized to him. She wasn't apologizing for her testimony. She was apologizing because she said something that tipped off that she wasn't really as partial to Jen McCabe and Tully and them as she looked. And Hank was the manager.
And she didn't. And she didn't. Jessica Hyde played the role of a lifetime.
Oh, yeah, that's why when I saw... Nobody could have ever predicted that Jessica Hyde was a cooperating federal witness. And remember, when you're a cooperating federal witness on the Farwell case, that means they have access. You actually get briefed. You're a federal witness. They have access to everything that they need to testify in the federal case, which means they knew, Jessica Hyde knew probably from the jump that Tully and them were bad. She was never blind to it. The only person who was blind to it was me, and maybe the O'Keefes. I think a lot of these people who defended these guys either knew or had an inkling.
Or they were... It didn't matter. It was their people and they were going down with their ship.
Well, that's what I mean. There's two camps. I think the people who were... Three camps. The people who were very strongly supporting the others, the powers that be, the cover-up of Sandra Birchmore's murder, of what happened to John, they were either, like, genuinely, like, misled, like, trying to, like, sympathize with the O'Keefes, which happened to me, so I'm not going to rule that out, and I'm clearly, like, I know what I'm doing, and even I fell victim to that. Or they knew what the prosecutor's office and the state police were doing, and they had a motive to cover it up with them. Or they had an inkling that their friends were up to bad stuff, but they either dabbled themselves or like knew about it and wanted everyone to just like keep going. And they are going to go down with this ship, I truly believe it, because when you look at the witnesses, it's not just Jessica Hyde. In a vacuum, Jessica Hyde could potentially testify in both trials. Nick Garino, okay, now we're talking like a serious situation, but the medical examiner, if she really knew from 2021 onward, the Massachusetts medical examiner, that the feds were investigating Sandra Birchmore's death, that would mean that she not only was cooperating that whole time, but that when Proctor came to the medical examiner's office trying to get a favorable decision on John O'Keefe's death, because remember, they had just given, the OCME had just given that unit a quick 24-hour favorable ruling on Sandra's death the year before. They tried to pull the same with O'Keefe. Medical examiner wouldn't do it. And then Levy says to Morrissey, don't go forward with this Karen charge. Morrissey does it anyway. Levy's got to get creative. Leah Foley picks up the torch, has to really think about whether she's going to do it. She announces the investigation into John's death, etc. is over. Tricks him one more time, finishes the job, reveals it all as Farwell's trial comes up. That's my grand unifying theory, my love. What do you think?
Oh, I like that one a lot. We haven't discussed that at all yet. I like all of that. I do. Nothing's jumping, and you know that I love to pick your arguments apart.
That's what makes
Unfortunately,
her so fun.
nothing's jumping out at me immediately.
Oh,
Listen,
she doesn't
I would
have...
like to go and fill up my coffee and take a minute if you don't mind. My brain just needs some time.
Yes, you breathe. Press the camera button, and I will wait for you to come back. And you can mute yourself too. You're wonderful, and I adore and love you.
Let me remember that. See you so soon, Towels.
Yes, 30, couple minute intermission. All right, towel friends. So Nikki's the wonderful towel girlfriend, Nikki, is gonna go get some coffee. We're gonna go for maybe another 40 to 50 minutes. I said 2 hours. This is her first ever. Okay, stream. She's doing a great job. I hope you all are having a great time. Isn't she really smart? She is so intelligent. Oh, hi, the Glare. How are you, Will? She does make great points, and she likes to. So when even though she's very pro Karen, very pro Aiden, she's very A&T state police. You can tell she wants to expose the cover up. If I don't make a very cohesive argument, if I get one thing off or two things. She'll argue devil's advocate just to force me to tighten up the argument. It's great. She's so smart. I adore her, as you can tell. She's my person. She's great. It's so now. I'm sorry I haven't been able to look at the chat, but when I talk to Towel Girlfriend, like, she gets my undivided attention. So you're all wonderful. Thank you so much. She's just getting some coffee. We're gonna give you another like 50 minutes. She will be back. You're gonna see Towel Girlfriend. We're gonna do travel vlogs. You'll get to hear her. She has so many interesting passions. She loves animals, and she's so smart. Now, remember, like most humans do not have like photographic recall of dates and times. That's just like my autism. So it's like she's like doing great. Like, she keeps up. She's taking great notes. She, like, TA Sarah would be so proud. Okay, so my point is, she's so smart. Like, to keep up with me, it can be really frustrating. I've never met someone who can do it, because I just want to go that pace all the time. Like, from the second I'm up until I go to bed, I want to go at that pace, and she can keep up. It's great. She's wonderful. Yes, I think she's wonderful. I was talking about your point about the med examiner, but she seems awesome, dude. Congrats. Oh, Will, I got you. And I agree about the medical examiner. And I think Nikki was making a point. Nikki didn't make that point, but she definitely was agreeing with that. So yes, I agree. Whether you were complimenting me or not, of course I'm going to deflect the compliment onto her. She's beautiful and lovely. What do you want from me? But the point is, I agree with you. I think the medical examiner, it's the key, along with Garino and Hyde and the 3 state police crime lab techs. And yeah, I think that's the list of cooperating federal witnesses. I mean, that's bad. You have to, I think most people like probably realize the reason why it's been so apoplectic the past 2 weeks is if you're Brian Tully and John Fanning and you see that federal witness list, the first thing your brain is going to do is have like a panic attack. You're going to freak out. You're going to be like, wait a minute. Like, Garino really did flip? I'm like, what? Like, no, not Nick. You know, and then you're going to be like, wait, the medical examiner? Oh, dude. And then you're really going to freak out. So that's why they're apoplectic. They know it's over. Aaron says, we love her, Grant. Brains and beauty. Does she know Jesus makes lemonade? Oh, she's Jewish, actually, Aaron. I didn't ask her about that, but God bless you. She does listen to that song with me when I play it. She indulges me. She's great. But yes, you're all wonderful. God bless you, Aaron. Towel Girlfriend's just getting some coffee. This is her first ever interview. She's doing so good. She's really smart. And as you can see, she's very much free Karen Reed, free Turtle Boy. But that was, what's interesting is that's not really like how we met. We were, she can tell you more, but I was covering the war. And so like you would watch this stream to learn about the active developments on the ground. But yes, she's lovely in every way. And she really knows these cases. Well, so Garino, here's the thing. I think Garino was scared. If he said the unalive me now, quote unquote, comment during the first trial, he had no protection. Of course he was scared. Of course. By the second trial, I think he cooperated. I think somebody from the federal government encouraged Nick Garino to cooperate. And then, if you notice, from that point on, like, nobody really knew what was going on with him. Medical retirement. I think he showed up in the second trial. He looked a lot calmer in the second trial. He had a back injury, but he looked calmer. The color was back in his face. And now we know why. He had federal protection. Once you are a federal witness, especially someone like them, now you all know why Jessica Leslie was being escorted out of the courthouse by the FBI, her dad. Because once you're a federal witness, I bet they literally watch you. Oh, you have like a team. They probably for them have to do it in person. They probably don't need to do it in person, frankly. But for them, I bet they do it in person. They just literally go around with you wherever you may go. And I'm sure like Nick Garino has been protected this whole time. Jessica Hyde, I'm pretty sure she's like got her own people to keep her safe. I don't think anybody's messing with her. Garino, yeah, I was a little worried about him until I found out he was on that witness list. But yeah, if you're in the know and you see that witness list, oh yeah, you would run to Timbuktu, ladies and gentlemen, because that only means one thing: the very next people that they're coming for. Because especially when they found out, I would imagine the feds that saying, he said, "Congrats, she seems a wonderful dude," which I agree. And then he also said the point about the medical examiner that I had raised and we were discussing was fascinating. And then I was kind of lecturing,
Yes.
as you were getting your coffee, about how anybody in the know, not just someone who knows these cases, but Tully's unit probably realized 2 weeks ago that they're the people who the feds were coming for. They were coming for Farwell, but it was really the unit who knew about Mann Act violations, child sex trafficking, covered it up, and covered up Sandra's murder. They must have had quite a few weeks.
So that's what's so interesting that's come out of those proposed jury instructions, is that we now know what crimes the prosecution is alleging specifically that Sandra knew about and would have reported but for her murder to stop that.
Yes.
So it's interesting, and they've named it as Mann Act, so human trafficking.
Correct.
Crimes, which is
wire fraud, Mann Act, and not just Mann Act Section B, 2422B, Title 18, Section 2422, subparagraph B, child sex trafficking.
Yes. Well, I mean, she was a child when she was first trafficked, to be completely frank about it.
Through the
If it's
police
only her own story, she has evidence of the child being trafficked.
Through the Police Explorers program, and we know from the Stoughton, the 2023 Stoughton IA report that was released, that at least Robert Devine, Matthew Farwell, and Billy Farwell, if not more people, were abusing Sandra. So, and by the way, another revelation, which I'm sure blew a lot of people's mind, Witness 1. The feds not only know who the father of Sandra's unborn baby is, who is not Matthew Farwell or Billy Farwell, as far as we know, fraternal twins, as far as we know. Although it doesn't exclude it per se. I think it's been pretty much, it could still be Billy Farwell, but it's pretty much.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was excluded. I thought it was
I think
conclusive that neither of the Farwells were the. I might be wrong.
I think the way the federal government wrote it was that Billy Farwell was excluded as the father. But I don't know.
What I thought.
I don't know. I think what people then did was like speculate about what DNA exclusion of William means for Billy if Billy's a fraternal twin. I don't know if there's anything from the government that excludes Billy as the father, but that doesn't mean that he's included or excluded. However,
Do you know whether they're fraternal or identical?
They're fraternal twins.
Okay, noted.
And so, and for the people who can hear, if there's ever a frame drop in your audio drops, just refresh. People may not even know this. You just refresh the YouTube stream, and it should kick the audio back in. But I've had that problem on my mobile app, too. All right. So,
when that happens, remember to move your chat toggle from top back to all, because it changes it, and it's very frustrating.
That's right. Okay, so that specific thing we were just talking about, if you could bring me back to it.
Oh, flip, I wish that I could. We were talking about the Farwell, the paternity of Sandra's unborn baby boy.
Yes, thank you. Oh, you're so smart. You're so good. I adore you. One of the things that's fascinating about what the feds discovered is, in their trial brief, they indicate that the DNA evidence on Sandra's undergarments not only had one sample with a contribution from Farwell, but another sample on the day she died with a man who's identified only as Witness 1. That man, not Farwell, is the same man who was the father of Sandra's unborn baby. And
I know.
To top this all off, Robert Devine, who was the deputy chief that ran the Stoughton Police Explorers program, and set it up, Robert Devine used an alias on Facebook named Martin Riggs. Martin Riggs stopped communicating with Sandra on February 1st, 2021, the day of her death. Her death was not made public. No one knew about it, not even her colleagues or the police, until February 4th, 2021. So how did Robert Devine know to stop talking to her that day? Yeah, you can say, well, she never responded to his messages. Oh, really? Yeah, maybe. But it seems a little too coincidental.
I think that's what they call a compelling circumstantial case.
Yeah.
At least that part. The rest of it is certainly direct and substantial, but
Oh, hold on.
interesting.
Oh, goodness. Listen. Never in my life did I think we would get to the point. Hold on. Let me click the right hide button here. Hold on. Let me make sure it's the right guy. I want to make sure it's this guy. It's this guy. Yeah, we're hiding that guy. All right, Dave. Goodbye, Dave. Dave is gone now. Dave,
Dave involved?
Yeah, so Dave apparently, has some...
Okay.
Dave's struggling internally with their inability to comprehend the scope and the implications of all this. So they projected some of, and it's a sad thing. They projected their, they projected that in a very vulgar word. And only people like Kate Peter use that word, because they're not doing well. So we don't allow that here. We have very, I can actually remind you of the rules, and the chat moms are quick. I mean, they'll get you. And people like that, you can hide. Anybody uses a slur like only Kate Peter would use, you can hide them. But the rules here are no slurs, no being discriminatory, no being derogatory, no personality, show compassion, no sea lioning. Also, Lynn is chat mom, and we love penguins and goats. Free the goats. It sounds reasonable. But yeah, so I think... Go ahead.
Can I take you to regale us with the Cowl News Pledge of Allegiance? Do you remember it from early war times?
I think, what do I have here?
I don't remember this. This is not a test that I can...
I had one for naming the honorable member. So we have a standing towel order rule 1 where I can name someone. I wouldn't call it a pledge of allegiance. It's more like I'm the speaker of the parliament and I can name you and then remove you from the chamber for the day sitting or permanently. So if we have a pledge of allegiance, it's to the rules of decorum in chat. Hi, how are you all doing? But do you have any questions for me?
Chat. I missed the chat. I'm on the wrong side of the screen tonight.
They're having a great time. We have Kevin from South Boston is here. Bunny's here. Who else? T.A. Sarah is here. Hi, T.A. Sarah. Kofi's here. Kofi got his sweatshirt. Zelda Bobo is here. 13 Kings is here. Nightbot is here. Turtle Power is here. We have there's so many friends here. You have lots of wonderful towel friends. They think you're wonderful. So do I.
Hi, towels. I think you're wonderful.
Well, here, let me try something. I heard a rumor.
So what?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
So if you have questions for me, write them down. But I heard a rumor. Because I don't want to prevent this, but I just was reminded that I can actually show you something on screen. And I heard a rumor that a dog by the name of Kofi, who's watching right now... Oh, Bridget is here. Hi, Bridget. Bridget wants to say hi. Miss Holmes is here. They want to say hi. Anne wants to say hi. Lynn as well. Cupcakes and coffee. For folks who'd like to meet Towel Girlfriend, we're kind of moving around to different places, both her and I right now. You never know where we may be. However, she will be around in the coming few months as we cover the Birchmore trial, or I do, and then also Towel News does. And then also we're going to be at a Red Sox game in September in the Boston area. So if you would like to hang out, I'm thinking about how to do that. I don't know how we're going to do it. It's hard to get group seats that are actually capable of being together. I've looked at some options. We're going to explore it. I'll talk to George. He's fine. All right. With that said, I heard a rumor that Kofi, who's watching right now, he is a dog. Okay. I heard a rumor that he is a model now, and I don't think Nikki Towell has seen this Towel Girlfriend. So I'm going to show her this for the first time. And I think I do it this way. So how do I do it? Okay, so I go over here. I click this button, right? It's going to show us the options for sharing my screen. And then I click this one. All right, Nikki Towel. That is Ko-fi. Hold on, it's going to take a second. It has to kind of like
I can't
load
see
up.
him.
Oh, don't worry. Give it like, there's a lot going on the Towel computer, so give it like 20 seconds. Here it comes. There it is. That's Ko-fi. That Ko-fi, look, it's you.
Goodness.
Look at you, Ko-fi.
He is such a special boy.
Kofi's
He
on
reminds
it.
me
Ko-fi,
so
that's
much
you.
of such a special dog to me from a couple of years ago. Sorry, I probably smacked my mic. He is such a special boy. I love seeing him in the merch. Oh, hey,
Ko-fi, that's you. Ko-fi, you're on the TV. And, by the way, this is probably a great time to let you all know that you can be like Ko-fi. You can make him very happy by going to bonfire.com/store/towel shop, or you can just go to towelnewsnetwork.com. Yes, did you now know? You can go to towelnewsnetwork.com and it will take you right to Towel Shop. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. That is our closest thing you'll ever get to a commercial on Towel News, because we don't have any sponsors. It's just your kind generosity. By the way, if you think that Towel Girlfriend and I are doing good things and you want to help us with our mission to do our coverage, or at least mine, and then, just to exist and all that good stuff, you can send donations to Towel. You can do that through the links in the chat. Okay, this is I guess we're covering things, we're chatting, but there's ways to support. You can do that on Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. Cash App # Grant Smith Ellis, Venmo at Grant-E1, PayPal.me/Grant Ellis. God bless all of you. Thank you. We also have a Discord. Nikki Towel does hang out in the Discord, so come hang out anytime with us. We would love to meet you. LS says, Grant, what languages does Towel Girlfriend speak? Didn't you say something about her being bilingual? Her accent is amazing. So she speaks more than a couple languages. We're going to keep some of that information very protected for various reasons. She did mention where she spent a lot of time. So she
Not
is
making a good case for me not being MI6 Towel boyfriend. I must tell you.
yeah, no,
He's
so
not going to be happy.
yeah, see, here's the thing. I told her, like, she's gonna eventually, potentially have to, like, what if I want to be, like, the president? Who knows how life will play out? What if she has to get background screened? I was like, so you can't really be an undercover asset. They'll find you. And she was like, okay, I'll subject myself to it. So,
I have no poker face. There is nothing about me that should read as, like, capable of any covert shenanigans. Look at my eyebrows. I can't hide anything. And still, despite being one of the most normal people that there ever has been, I was absolutely put through the ringer. This is before I applied for a visa, let me tell you. It was just Towel inside. Inside vetting.
Before she could even come for a visit just to see our beautiful country. It is a beautiful country. Tell me though, before I did my wonderful Ko-fi picture, what questions might you have for me? We have like half an hour left, and then I will see if there's any like documents I want to show you. I also want to show you the new towel that came in. Soraya Wright got a towel. That's the Towel News towel. But what questions do you have for me, my love?
What questions do I have for you? I had thought of some. And who knows if... So I actually would like to ask you about one of the things that I've enjoyed so much getting to know you outside of streaming is that you are a huge movie buff, and you're very particular about your taste and the movies that you know all about. How did you start getting into film? And you're very specific about time periods. How did you get to loving the films that you do?
Oh, what a wonderful question. My favorite question I've ever been asked. Okay, so when I was a teenager, a little washcloth, I did see films recreationally. Stuff like, I don't know. What was that movie about where it's like the guy with the weird hair, and he goes, and there's like a government conspiracy related to like medical and adult use. It was one of those like really famous like stoner comedies in the 2000s, or like maybe like 2004. I forget what it was. It was a hilarious movie, but it was of the time. And so, actually, I'm going to look this one up because it's relatively.
What's nice film?
Yeah, it's relatively worth it for me to.
He's like the Ned Sales guy. I think I know this movie, and I
It was
don't
like
know a lot of them.
I'm sure people are saying it in the chat, but it was like an epic, absolutely like epic. Pineapple Express, of course. There was like a strain named after it. So I used to watch, like I saw that in theaters, and then like I would see like, you know, occasional like bigger films. We would watch them. And I saw like The Wire growing up, but I never really had an appreciation for art or books. I just was doing other things. It was like something I would do because other people were watching it. So I was like, fine, I'll do it. But in college, I had a professor who was a Jesuit. He was really smart, and he taught a class on film. And so I'm like, okay, like I like film, you know, I have seen movies, and I had to get a credit for, I think, like doing some kind of art. You had to at BC, just one. You had to do it. So I was like, I don't know how to do art, so I will just take the father's like video, like movie class. And I heard it was hard, like really, really hard. But I didn't know what I was getting into. We went into that class. Oh my goodness. That man loved the Hays Code era of American film more than any other human in the history of Earth. He knew Franz Kafka's like entire filmography. He knew everything. Like he didn't. Getting him to talk about Casablanca was a stretch. Like he would like scoff at Casablanca. Like Casablanca, that modern like. Oh God, like could you get any more like removed from the purity of the Hays Code era? And he was like 70 at the time. So what that class was we would go in to this lecture hall in like the basement of Devlin, and it was like maybe 30 of us, and I thought it was just going to be watching movies. Oh no. Every week I had to watch a film or two out of class, and then I had to write essays about the films and the directors. Then we would come into class and watch a completely different film by the same director, and then we would get called on, and we had to tell the priest like what our thoughts were comparing these like 1930s movies. So I got this refined appreciation for like basically like local censorship board era like filmmaking, and then like how you could use that as like a subversive cultural like socio-political device to like uphold morality, because that's all you really learn if you are at BC and you really like take a lot of classes with the priest. They just teach you how to like use high level systems in like post-industrial societies to encourage people to be moral. And so, like, I learned to love that art form, like getting around a censor and still encouraging a moral message. And then I learned more about, like, in my own free time, I had a friend, I may have mentioned him before, his name was Rob, and when I was very sick after I got sick in 2014, I watched a lot of films, and I watched them with him. And so I started to find what I liked and didn't like. So my basis was Hays Code era films, and then I started to love the Kubrickian canon. I loved Casablanca, and then the last film that I truly feel captured my soul was Being There with Peter Sellers from 1979. So what you're referring to, which I think is wonderful, is my hard and fast rule that like I don't watch movies made after 1979, with very few exceptions. And so like when I watch films with Towel Girlfriend, we're like always watching some like obscure like we've watched everything Kubrick's done. That's the exception to the rule. But like we'll watch some like obscure like 1937 like His Girl Friday, and it's so quaint and I love it. And she likes it. It makes me so happy.
It's the best. And we'll, switch between that and like every now and then a Harvard lecture on ancient religions, whatever else. That's a topic I'm interested in, and so is Grant.
That's true. Oh, before we get into ancient religions, T.A. Sarah says Barry Lyndon. We watched Barry Lyndon, my love, over the past 2 months. What did you think of,
Which one
first
was
of all,
that?
Barry
Oh my God.
Lyndon? And what did you think of the experience of watching it with me? How did I introduce you to Barry Lyndon?
Oh my goodness. This was, I don't know if we were dating yet when we watched
Oh, we were.
this.
It was about a month ago, 2 months ago.
Were we?
Yeah.
That recently. I think I'm
Yeah.
thinking of the wrong movie.
Barry Lyndon is the period timepiece where
Yes.
the
Yes.
man, yes, the Prussian army. It was only about 2 or 3 months ago.
Oh, it feels like a life. Things changed so much in the last couple months.
So what did you, well, first
Crazy.
of all, what did you think of Barry Lyndon? Second of all, you hadn't seen it before. So how did if I recall, I think I said to you, every scene is like a living painting before we watched it. That's how I pitched you on it.
And, well, not only that, that's how we watched it, going through it. Either you or I don't even remember how, but we'd note when what felt like the set dressing was changing to a new scene, and that was fun. And we'd sort of stop and take a moment and observe, and how has he constituted this particular picture to say the message of this shot. It was interesting. I've never watched films so analytically myself. It's not I've done music in English, but film is just not something I've ever scrutinized in that way. So it was fun and interesting. I always love it when you teach me stuff and unexpected stuff.
I learned so much from you. But yes, it does make me realize, like, if you watch a film, what is already a 3-hour film, it probably takes us 3 days. Like, we watch it, like, we analyze, and we're talking about, like, okay, so that's, like, what the Prussian army was doing in France in, like, 1798. Oh, like, that makes, like, that other thing make a lot more sense. Like, it's very fun. I have so much fun.
I think that probably sounds like a lot of people's personal hells. Do you know that? I love it, but I can imagine that it's not always for everyone.
Kate Wooden wants to know, does Grant give spoilers before he watches movies with you?
No, consistently not. Like, you'll go out of your way not to. It feels like another conversation with you where you're trying to ice me out of information. and it's more frustrating in a movie because I know you can tell me. You just want me to watch it for myself and then think what you thought. No, it's been good fun. It's been great fun.
I think my habit is the opposite of spoiling it. I'll pitch it, but with like an air of mystery around it. And then she's like, well, damn it, like, now we have to watch it because I want to know what happens.
Oh, this is my favorite also. I don't know what movies warrant it, but every now and then as we start a movie, it'll be like, next you might have to actually pay attention. I don't know why you're worried about me losing the plot, but I love it. I'm like, okay, it's a serious one. I need some brain.
It's not. Ooh, I had to really hold myself back there. It's not like one of those. It's more like sometimes you like to play your zoo game. I'm hilarious. Sometimes I don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes you like to play your zoo game, and while you're playing your zoo game, things will be happening in the movie. And I'm like, well, if you think about the geopolitical orientation of France in 1797, you're like, well, what? I'm like, you were looking at the pandas again, weren't you?
Sometimes it's not even. Sometimes I'm just...
Turtle Power recommends for us The Count of Monte Cristo. I feel like I may have brought that up to you before. I think we started it, but we didn't finish it. That happens to us a lot. So anything...
This is the thing with movies, is that we have to account for probable document drops or whatever else, but also there's about a 75 to 90 minute window after which I will fall asleep. So you've got to kind of play for the middle.
Well, and then like some movies, like when we watched Barry Lyndon, which I adore, I said, we have to watch this 1 hour at a time. And you can do that with Barry Lyndon because it's in chapters. But, like, I think the core of the question is, I don't love modern media. I think it's vacuous, especially like most Hollywood films. I liked Boyhood. I think there are some things that like stand out to me as taking the genre like somewhere, but overall, I think I don't know if I've told you this before, my love, but my theory is that there's like a great work of every epoch of human history, and the great work is the epitome of the symbiosis of human consciousness onto the pages of history. And so it was first the medieval cathedrals of Europe, then it was the works of Shakespeare, then it was the Kubrickian canon, as ironically made manifest in a metaphysical way by 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is about the great work. So once, like, the medium... Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, once the medium has reached its typification, I don't see the point. Like, so it's not a coincidence that I stopped watching films, or I don't like films, like, roughly after, like, Kubrick's peak. I do think Eyes Wide Shut is worth seeing. Apocalypse Now, some stuff by Scorsese. I thought The Irishman was really good. But most of the stuff, like, American Psycho's okay. Most of the stuff after 79, like, the 2001 took the art form to its apex. You're never going to do better. So you can tell stories through film. That's great. But it's like making plays after Shakespeare made Twelfth Night. Like, okay, like, you're going to be more funny than that, bruh? All right, good luck. Like, you can try, but it's not going to happen. So that's my opinion. I'm not trying to be derogatory,
Is there any amount that the genre itself, like filmmaking itself, that process, is there any amount of change that could happen, like technological development, that would leave a gap for you to want films now because the medium is different and it's not making pastiche copies of the actual great work that's already happened?
That's a great question. So, the evolution of moving pictures came from, obviously, daguerreotypes coupled with sound. So if you think about it via corollary to the Whereas scene, and like a cam versus a telesync versus a telecine versus an R5 versus a screener versus a DVD rip versus a Blu-ray rip, like, what are you doing? Like, trying to get, like, IMAX? Okay, I think that has some room. Like, the Odyssey, you have some room to do some cool stuff there. But if we're thinking about, like, syncing up audio tracks to moving pictures, like, passe. Art as a form of expressing human consciousness, where it's going, I think interactive, like, I don't really believe in this whole, like, notion of the metaverse and all that. That shit's lame. I'm sorry. That's not where we're going.
It's useless.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun to postulate, but why? It doesn't change my relationship with what's around me, is my feeling on it.
Like, bro, I don't need to play Roblox. Like, I don't need an avatar. That's cool, though. But, like, it's not going to be the next, like, manifestation of human sentience. My guess is where we're going, if I had to just make a wild guess, because I love the question, it would be a symbiosis of human sentience and, like, temporal sensation with a digital medium. So, like,
Television.
Yeah, and smell-o-vision's a good example. And I don't mean, like, wearing a glove and manipulating, like, an object on a screen. I mean something more like programming a chip so that your neural networks have, like, control over external digital projections, like either like holograms or maybe even like actual physical objects through like 3D printing, like just more direct manipulation of the external environment. And instead of it being like on a canvas or a screen, it's more like on the floor, or like you want to build a car, so you just kind of like use your brain and then the chip, and then it's really using like a printer, but you're like drawing on some like an AutoCAD program that's then like making the hologram, you're going over to the hologram, you're like kind of shaping the hologram with your hand, and then the AutoCAD takes the feedback. It's like this full integrate. It's called technological singularity, but I think human consciousness is so strong that it won't become absorbed into an algorithm. It will augment the use of digital technology, and then it will be a symbiotic relationship. So like you touch the hologram, you edit the CAD, and then when you're ready for your final project, it prints, if I had to guess.
Interesting. This might be something that we need to talk about after stream, because we might be getting a bit niche, but have you ever heard of the Neural Network Project?
I haven't heard of it, but I understand intuitively what it probably is. And yeah, like what is all you moving your finger is your brain telling your hand to move. So why can't you just, like a circuit, just take that signal? You got to be really careful. You could really screw some stuff up. But just take that signal and then understand it, interpolate it to by numerical representation or hexadecimal, and then send it through a controller that then manipulates external objects. And then also, of course, to add all into this, we have this advancing sort of, we don't know about it in the civilian world, but we have this advancing field of audio spectrum analysis that's going to allow us to wear not like meta glasses, but more like a heads-up display, which based on acoustic like field processing can kind of project for you where things are going to move in the future in real time. It's really useful in the battlefield. It's not useful like walking down the street. It's just kind of cool. So that's where I think we're going. And then also magnetic levitation as a form of propulsion, like moving away from petroleum-based propulsion and then using magnet levitation, and then like really moving things over land and sea very fast. Probably not maglev over the ocean, but trying to find a way to move things faster.
Did you know that some birds can see magnetism? They can actually see magnetic fields, and humans can't. The best we can do is where we know there's a magnetic field, we can put iron shavings or magnetic particles in it, and we can see how that gets disrupted by the particles inside it. But innately, we have no capacity to see magnetism, but a lot of birds can, and that's how they know how and where to migrate. Because magnetic north and south shifts a bit every year.
Yeah, it's like...
And based on true magnetic north and south.
Yeah, it's like a bat echolocating. That's why an MP3 file is smaller than a FLAC file. By comparison, a FLAC file is a lossless audio file. Why do we have MP3 files? It's a compressed version of the file. What does that mean? It's cutting off, it's lopping off the upper end and the lower end of the audio spectrum. Why? Because most ears can't hear it. And that's so there is stuff going on out there, both with like in the realm of our ability to see and hear and otherwise, that we just can't detect, that animals can, and that etc. So we have machines though that can see those electromagnetic lines. We learned over time, and that's kind of, I think, a great point about what I was just saying, augmenting sense perception through digital technology, and that also has very broad applications in like extending life, fixing organs that aren't working correctly, supplementing them. We have a project that came out of Boston College. I actually knew the guy who helped work on it, Joe Tesh. He ran a class called Psychobiology and Mental Disorders. I took it, like very smart guy. He taught it 63 or 4 semesters in a row. This dude says to BC in like the 80s or 90s, what if we, and he worked on like a team at the campus school that did this, what if we used eye movements to let paraplegic students move a mouse on a computer? And they created that. It exists now. It's a whole system. He's dead.
I have a lot of information about this that I need to share with you, but this stream isn't the time.
And I want to
You're going to love this. This is going to be great.
I am going to love it. Want to
Did you ever, I think there's kind of a classic thought experiment, or like one of the first things that philosophy lecturers like to give their first year kids. And the question that they ask famously is, do you know what it's like to be a bat? What do bats see? What is it like? Because bats see in echolocation exactly like what you're discussing, but the parts of their brain that are stimulated by that trigger are visual. So it's a scene.
Yes. It's like Batman. If you've ever seen one of the Dark Knights, a rare post 1979 movie I've seen, there's a scene where he puts on, or he's looking at like a screen, and it's the butler giving him like these glasses that allow him to see like the whole city, and it's like blue and black. That's what bats. They was trying to mimic echolocation. It interpolates. It's how missiles. We've talked about this in war coverage. It's how missiles see. Missiles don't have eyes. They hear on a chip, and then they have a guidance chip, and then they use the auditory information to determine where the interceptors are coming, so they can get around them. I want to say a special shout out to Tim.
What's the classic? The classic philosophical.
Oh, go ahead. I just wanted to say a special shout out to Tiffany Bob, who says, "Hello, beautiful Nikki Towel girlfriend," and became a member for 5 months. With the classic philosophical, I'm so sorry for jumping in. Well, the classic philosophical insight you had?
No, I love hearing from Tiffany Bob. The way that question is posed to classes, I think the interesting question, assuming that we can augment humans' perception of reality through something like a back to echolocation, like what you just described. At that point, when the lecturer asks his first year class, do you know what a bat sees? Can they answer it? Because that's really what that question speaks to, is comparative perception and like normative maybe.
Well, yes, I think it speaks to something deeper though. Like, for example, I doubt a first-year college student would be an expert in machine learning or natural language processing. But if you happen to have done that, if you happen to have done that and then found obscure patents by like double Saudi agents from the 70s with Paulo Prado's father-in-law, and then they had the insight like, oh, wait a minute, like machine learning on words, that's just, you can apply that to the audio spectrum. That, like an MD5 hash on an audio file would let you do that.
We need a exclamation mark paintings in the chat.
Yes, Adnan Khashoggi.
Of Saudi double agents and such like.
Yes, well, here's a way to prove you're, like, not a double agent to anyone. It's pretty clear to me that this was a SVR KGB blackmail operation running in the United States using police officers, and they took over my country. And I'm going to liberate this country, and I love it dearly, and I hope you will come to love it in time. We'll see what you think. I think it's great, and you're wonderful. I won't make you comment on that, though. I just want to put that on the record. Any other questions? We got like 10 more minutes before we go have lunch and watch a movie. It's going to be great.
I don't think that I do have any more questions for you. My brain is very tired. You have thoroughly exhausted me in this 2 hours. I used to joke often that I'd become a lawyer because I needed an excuse to talk for a living, and I am learning that that's not what I did as a lawyer.
Speaking of that, one final question for me. Does Towel have downtime, and what is it like?
Oh, yes. Towel has downtime when I enforce it. When and if I say towel, that's enough towel. This has been 3 days. We need a moment towel. And we do all sorts of stuff. We watch stuff. We listen to stuff. You would be amazed by how many hours the two of us can occupy each other just with talking nonsense about nonsense. Like, between us, we have a really strange network of interests that overlaps in a really fun way. So we'll watch a movie if we're feeling tired, but if we have energy, we love a good argument. There's a bit of a problem with two legally trained minds, and it's that when we start having it's not personal. It's just like we're hashing out an idea. We both get so combative, and then afterwards we have to come back and have a little soft cuddle. But it's like this weird training, rhetorical exercise.
Yes, even I wouldn't say we have ever fought, but our debates are more like I take a devil's advocate position.
It's not a fight.
Yes, I take a
Yeah.
devil's advocate position, or she does, but they're great. Let me share one more thing in our last few minutes. So, if you'd like, I put up our first poll, by the way, and you answered all the questions. There was 500 votes on the first poll. The top result for what is your top question for Towel Girlfriend is how did you meet Towel? 69%. Hilarious. 15% said, how did you become a towel? Maybe you can tell us that quickly. 11%, do you protect goats? You answered. 5%, what is Towel's workflow like? So as I'm putting this up on the screen, can you tell us, how did you become a towel? When did you realize that you were not just a towel girlfriend, but a towel?
I found out that I was a towel when my Lurker Twitter account with one single follower who I didn't know was reposted by Grant Smith Ellis, who pronounced me a towel on the spot. I didn't really know what it meant, frankly, at the moment, but I never looked back.
Wonderful.
Oh,
and I just wanted to show that is, so if you liked what you saw here, I put up another poll, by the way. It's live now. There's already a lot of votes. Would you like to see Towel Girlfriend again? The choices are yes, I adore her, which has 82%. Yes, with exclamation points, which has 12%. Of course, which has 6%. And then yes, also save the goats, which has 3%. Now,
I've got low. Well, you skewed that vote a little bit, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
people are allowed to say no. I have no intention of
it's possible. It's possible.
being in front of the camera any longer than I have to.
Let me bring up just a few other things. I want to see if I have a Tiffany Bob's picture here as well. I want to show that one, so let me bring that one up on the screen. The wonderful Tiffany Bob.
Just put my chair.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, you look so beautiful. The wonderful Tiffany Bob also had a picture that went up of some towel merch. If you want to support that, of course, that's towelnewsnetwork.com. That'll take you right to the towel shop. Oh, Towel Chat Mom Lynn as well sent in her shirt. I can't wait to show you this. Towel Chat Mom Lynn said it is super comfy, and I'm thrilled. All right, so I'm going to show you this one. This is Towel Chat Mom's Lynn's shirt. This came in. Okay, I think this
is the first one that I saw. The first IRL merch delivery. I think I saw Lynn's first.
So that is Towel Chat Mom's Lynn's shirt. I think it's great. Shout out Towel Chat Mom Lynn. She's just Tiffany Bob was thrilled, and Peep is still made. All right, so that's the sweatshirt. Mm-hmm. She loved it. And then Tiffany Bob had this. Oh, this was the wonderful.
Oh yes, I love that.
So, Tiffany Bob said, I love my bunny hoodie. It's so cute and so fun, beautiful pink, and I couldn't be more proud to wear it in support of our towel. Grant Smith Ellis, he gives us the news and allows us to speak with open minds and stays out of the tired drama. It's my favorite stream to hang out on. And Tiffany Bob says, so happy this is finally happening. Much love to Towel Girlfriend. Oh. Nikki Towel is... Oh, go ahead.
No, I already forgot what I was going to say.
My
brain's out of tokens.
Tia Sarah wants to know if there's any... If you go to Towel News... if you go to towelnewsnetwork.com, okay, so that's towelnewsnetwork.com, it's going to bring you to this wonderful... I just forwarded it to the shop for now, okay? It's going to bring you to this wonderful page. If you go onto this page, Super Towel, Tia Sarah, you will see that there's some different items. Some of them, like the apron, might be available in black, okay? Now, if you... I'm going to wait for it to... my presentation to show up. Some of them might be available in black. In order to find out what items, though, have that as an available color, you're going to want to click in to the item, okay? And then you can change the color. Now this V1 design of the bunny, if black is an option, you have to go through each one. Now the black print, unfortunately, is probably not going to be available because of the black lettering. So all your options are probably going to be closer to charcoal than black. However, there might be different designs in the future without black lettering that have that option. And then there is, for this design right now, there's only 1 or 2 V-neck options. The women's soft V-neck only is in white. There is a V-neck tee as well that comes in more sizes and has some other colors. So I'm not a towel salesman, but, Judge Gilday used the word hawk, so I just want to hawk things now. But yeah, let me just read this poll out.
Work on we're gonna look at get option black. I understand the demand for black clothing.
Absolutely. And then, of course, I promised Towel Girlfriend 2 hours. She did a great get to meet us in person over the coming months. We adore all of you. God bless each and every one of you. Not a traditional outro today. You know who I will bring on, though? He is the channel mascot. He is Tiffany Bob's best friend. He is literally on the shirt. It's Peep. He's great. This is Peep. He is the channel mascot. He's been the channel mascot for a long time. God bless all of you. I'll do Tippecanoe and Tyler 2 because we would be remiss, my love, if we didn't do Tippecanoe and Tyler 2. All right? So let's do it, and let's do it this way. Ready? We'll see. I'll wait for that presentation to slowly go away. So we're back. I have Peep. I have my Towel Girlfriend, and I'm going to do Tippecanoe and Tyler 2 to test my mental acuity at the end of what was an awesome stream. My heart is beaming. I'm so glad in so many ways that I got to do this.
It happens. I'll thank you, Carl.
Oh, okay. We can do that at the end. I'm down with that. President Washington, President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison, President Monroe, President Adams Jr., President Jackson, President Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, I don't know 10. 11, 12 is Tippecanoe and Tyler 2, so that's going to be Polk Taylor. Then it's going to be 13 is Millard Fillmore, and then it's going to be Pierce Buchanan, Lincoln Johnson Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Cleveland Harrison Cleveland, McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William R. Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. How about them apples? By the way, here's a special nugget. When we first started talking and getting to know each other and getting close to dating, did I even know what you looked like?
No, for a long time you didn't. Why didn't you? It's not as if, how did that happen? I remember this conversation, but I don't remember how. I think it was a couple weeks or months into us chatting. One day you were like, Nikki, I have no idea what you look like.
It was because I was skittish.
That makes sense. That's the reason.
I was skittish of talking on the phone. We would send mostly voice notes, and then finally you got me to do a phone call, and then I was like, I guess I should see you. But I was smitten by then. It was too late.
It was too late. You'd committed in this part, as it were.
I hope.
Right. This has been great fun for me. Thank you, my love. Thank you, Towels. It's been great to chat to you guys. I know that Grant has led you in a direction with that poll. I don't know that I'll be back, but I'm very glad to have spent a night here chatting with Grant and giving you guys a chance to get to know me a bit. And maybe you will see me again, maybe not.
Well, in just 10 minutes, 100 people voted, basically over 80, and 77% of them said to the question, would you like to see Towel Girlfriend again? Yes, I adore her. Well, I adore her too, ladies and gentlemen. I adore all of you. Thank you for supporting Towel News. You know where to find us on Discord. You know how to support the stream. If you want to buy me lunch today or etc., you can send a donation. I'll buy Towel Girlfriend lunch. I'll do that anyway because she's so wonderful. We have that Discord. I'll leave the donation links. You can find more youtube.com/@GrantSmithEllis. Thank you all for being you. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for being with Towel Girlfriend. Thank you for being so kind and loving. I'm so glad you all got to meet her. She makes my heart sing, and now you know why. Be well. God bless all of you. I'm sure I'll see you again for another week of news on youtube.com/@GrantSmithEllis starting tomorrow. I got things to do in the morning. We've got some cleaners going on. It's going to be great. I'm excited. God bless each and every one of you. I love you so much, Towel Girlfriend. Thank you for giving us your time and joining us. I think more than just me,
Yes, you are.
adores you. And we'll see you all again very soon. My name's Grant Smith Ellis. On youtube.com youtube.com/@ Grant Smith Ellis for Towel News. You got me all flustered, my love. It's 1:07 p.m. Eastern here in Boston. It is 7:07 p.m. in South Africa, 8:07 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 8:37 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. It's Sunday, August 16, 2026. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. May God bless and protect us all. And I hope you left with a smile today, because this was a wonderful change of pace in so many ways, and I truly appreciated this. So God bless you all. May God protect these United States of America, and do enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever the case may be. My name's Grant Smith Ellis. She's Nikki, Towel Girlfriend. We'll see you soon, I hope.